Hey Collective, I am super excited to reestablish our weekly collective chats. So hopefully you'll get some value out of today's training. Now, I want you to think about how often you assume in your business, whether it's about a specific product or maybe a collection, your team, your upline, or even me. We all know what happens when we assume. It can lead to misunderstandings, incorrect decisions, and heartbreak, speaking from personal experience. When we assume, we're basing our understanding on incomplete information, and why would we make a decision without all the facts? How many times have you said something like, I'm not going to ask that school if they want to do a fundraiser because one of the teachers is an SSD. Or I'm not going to message my upline for help because they're busy. Or there's absolutely no way my customers are going to buy a $125 warmer. I could give you all the hypothetical examples, but instead I'm going to give you some real life examples this week. So earlier this week, I asked in a leader group about a time they assumed, and I pulled 15 examples for you. Now keep in mind, these are all directors and above, so they've been around the block a time or two. So take a listen to their assumptions. Maybe you'll see yourself in them, and hopefully you'll have some aha moments. I had a customer who always spent very little each time she ordered reach out about the air purifier. Not only did she buy the air purifier, she started an $80 club order. I had a list of people to reach out to about the air purifier when it first came out, and I didn't put her on the list because she always spent so little. I could have sold it to her sooner. I went almost 5 years without asking my family to host a party for me. My aunt, who has always been supportive of everything, was on my list. During a blitz, I called her and I asked her if she'd be interested in hosting for me. She said, I thought you'd never ask. She'd been waiting for me to ask her because she figured I was too busy or wasn't interested in doing parties. I'm always debating whether or not I should remove people who haven't ordered from my customer group to make it, more VIP-ish. Then one day, they ordered. This happened more than once, too. I didn't ask a customer to start her own business because I thought she was super busy with kids, sports, etc. There was no way she would join. Well, she ended up starting her business with someone else. I had a customer who ordered a couple of times a year. It never crossed my mind to ask her to start her own business because she would only order maybe twice a year and maybe $30 at a time. Well, someone did ask, and now she's a superstar consultant right on her way to becoming a director. I used to remove people from my list if they haven't ordered in over 2 years. I assumed if they went that long, they weren't using it. I learned to keep them on my list unless they asked to be removed. Since then, I've had people order who haven't ordered up to 6 years ago. I had one order last week who was over $100 who hadn't purchased since 2017, but she was still on my list. I had a customer join another consultant. When I found out, I asked her why didn't she tell me she was interested in joining. She told me I never asked her. So never assume someone doesn't want to start their own business with you. Always ask. I met someone at an event while I was setting up my table. I kept thinking, she's not going to buy anything. Guess what? She was my biggest sell. The person you least expect to purchase will definitely surprise you. I didn't ask an amazing customer to join because she was successful in another business, so I just wrote it off. Someone else ended up asking her. She said yes, and now she's a director. In my first year as a consultant 12 years ago, I assumed someone buying from me would pick me if they joined. A customer I had just given some freebies to with a large order went to the corporate website and joined a random consultant because I didn't ask her. Lesson learned. When the Stitch collection launched, I didn't advertise it as much as I normally do. In my opinion, Stitch was a thing of the past. It never really was a big deal when the movie released or since. I had 5 people message me wanting the warmers and asking why I never shared it. Just because you don't care for something doesn't mean you shouldn't share. My husband told me about one of his coworkers who was also a customer of mine. They wouldn't be interested in starting their own business because they're too busy with school. So I didn't pursue her. A week later, she joined another company. It was a told you so moment for me to my husband and also a realization to me to still ask everyone anyway. For years, I assumed everyone was broke like us after Christmas, so I didn't pick my business back up until mid-January. When I first started doing parties as a host, I did them really well. I was broke and I needed those rewards for gifts that I couldn't have afforded otherwise. My consultant never once brought up starting my own business. I would have started 2 full years earlier and she would have a director on her team. Now, as for me, I've had quite a few similar situations, but the one that sticks out to me is with my own dad. There was a scent that I thought was absolutely horrendous. It smelled like licorice. I tried to prevent my dad from smelling it because I just knew he'd hate it. But before I knew it, his eyes were filled with tears, and I was like, "What's wrong?" He said, "This scent reminds me of a candy shop my dad would take me to. I want some of these, please." So, lesson learned, never assume that someone will not like a scent. There are people out there who love guava honey. If you know, you know. Well, that's it for this week, Collective. If you had an aha moment or you'd like to share your own assumption learning experience, please definitely let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next week's training. Bye, guys.